Now let me tell you something about Rennie, my friend of 2 decades, my former parent. She wasn't difficult at ISM, and the publisher of several of my, all modesty aside, best-selling and award-winning books. After graduating from UP Diliman, Rennie obtained a master's degree in telecommunications from Syracuse University. She then worked for several publishing companies in New York until her return to Manila in 1991. That's when I met her. That year, Rennie, along with Mark Singer, started Tahanan Books, which for the next 17 years specialized in publishing books for Filipino families, schools, and libraries. Building on a foundation of high quality, Tahanan went on to win the National Book Award for Children's Literature 8 times. Despite all these accomplishments, Rennie learned a universal truth and acted on it. Sometimes, something has to end for many new and wonderful things to begin. Several years ago, Rennie threw a dart at the universe. The dart landed in Seattle, Washington. By the time she migrated there with her 2 sons, Max and Sam, in 2008, Rennie had a mission. She wanted to extend the readership of Tahanan Books outside the Philippines to North America. And she especially wanted to expand her publishing sphere to include books that would interest Filipinos living overseas. Readers eager to know more about their home country, their cultural heritage, and their past. In 2010, Tahanan published a delightful book, A for Adobo, an alphabet of Filipino food, and another delightful book for children titled Ay Naku. I call them Rennie's first crossover books. They were followed by the recent publication of Hanggang sa Muli, which was launched this year in Seattle, San Francisco, and New York City. And today, in Manila, where it all began. For Rennie Roxas, tonight, it is Hanggang sa Muli and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow book lovers, I am justifiably proud and deeply honored to introduce the creator and editor of Hanggang sa Muli, the publisher of Tahanan Books. Let's all welcome Rennie Roxas.
Thank you, Nenny, for that generous introduction. You know, we Filipinos have what you call a value called utang na loob, which for those of you unfamiliar with Filipino means debt of gratitude. So I want to start by just thanking all the people who had a hand in making this book. I want to thank Nenny, who's my dear friend of over 20 years, for the introduction. I want to thank Tessa, who is this chandelier in all our lives. And I want to thank the authors, the contributing writers to the anthology who are here tonight. That would be Zach Lindmark, Zach, yeah, Sandra Nicole Roldan, and Jaime Ann Lin. I also want to thank the presenters. These are the children of the writers who couldn't be here tonight. They are Tonette Jose, the son of F. Chanil Jose, Jennifer Hagedorn, niece of Jessica Hagedorn, Antonio Tino, son of the late Rolando Tino. And Gemma Cruz Araneta, who's here to read from her mother's work, Carmen Guerrero Nakpiel. Thank you all for coming. I also want to thank our entertainment for tonight, Ian Carandang and Maria Carmina of the Cellar Doors, who will be serenading you later, to the pictures of Marcela, or Isa, Isa Marcela. Next, I want to thank my family, Tisa, my sister, who has always been there for me through thick and thin, my brother Bobby, and especially tonight, I want to acknowledge the presence of my two aunts. These are the sisters of my father. They're the daughters of the late President Roxas. They're here from Bukidnon and Davao, respectively, and they are the reason why there is so much love and laughter in my life. Could I please ask Charo and Shelo to stand up? And lastly, I want to thank my fellow bookmakers. Nelson Agustin, the book designer, he's in Vancouver. Isabel Kenny, who is an editor's editor, who helped me with the introduction. I want to thank Jeba Printers for producing the book. And of course, my small but devoted staff at Tahanan. I want to thank them. Okay, so I think Neri already told you, I literally threw a dart at the universe. That is the god-awful truth, but that's what happened. And when I landed in Seattle, I thought I could do something really easily. I thought I could make alok my books that were made by Filipinos for Filipinos in the Philippines, that it would be a cakewalk to sell them there. But I made an interesting discovery. Phil-Ams would look at my books and then they'd turn to me and say, well, what about us? What about our story? Aren't you going to write about us? You know, we have our own agenda, our own life view. And so that got me thinking, taking a good hard look at Filipinos in the diaspora. So together, let's take a look at that market. I'm going to show you that. Paul, you need Paul. You know Paul, how do you use Paul 4 times in a sentence? Paul, be careful, you might fall in the swimming pool. No, actually what you're going to see is a chart of overseas Filipinos scattered all around the globe. And these are figures from 2008, so they're actually going to be a little bigger. Does anyone here know the population of the Philippines? As of now, 90 million. A lot. Well, you're going to see from the chart that hopefully will be up shortly. Hindi ba? Okay, let me just visualize for you what the chart's going to say. It's going to be, as of 2008, there were 8 million Filipinos all over the globe. But people have told me that might be up to 10 million now. So if we're a nation of 90 million, that's like 1 out of 9 people. Is that right? Can you live abroad? So it's okay. We'll move on. We're going to move on. Okay. So there it is. There it is. Thank you, Paul. So that gives you an idea. Even the seamen at the bottom and where they live in Europe, most of them live in North America. I mean, just for you to realize just how many Filipinos are living abroad of their own volition and also making sacrifices to live abroad. Okay. So I took a look at my own experience as a migrant Filipino because I migrated with my children to the States in 2008. And last summer, my family took me to Naiya Airport. And as I watched the last piece of luggage hit the curb, I was suddenly overcome by a knife-sharp sadness. It really hit me in the gut. And only then did I truly understand the meaning of ambivalence. Do you know what ambivalence means?
No.
Manny, it's wanting 2 things at the same time. And clutched in my hand was my Philippine passport with my US green card clipped inside. And planes were flying overhead, and the jeeps and the cars were passing by, and I was rooted to the curb. I couldn't move because I was paralyzed by the thought that I wanted desperately to stay, and I wanted desperately to go. So I dedicate this book to all Filipinos who have left our homeland and whose heart remains in two places. This is dedicated to the exiles, the expats, the OFWs, the wayward children like myself who have fled their nanay's duyan for a life of independence on some distant shore. This book is for you. Now this book is made up of 32 selections, made up of memoirs, essays and narratives, poetry, and short stories. And tonight you are in for a treat. You will hear 7 readers. And the first one you will hear from one of the greatest living Filipino writers, Efcionil Jose. He wrote a short, powerful epigraph about how you, all of you here tonight, are the end result of a long line of people who came before you. Next, you will hear an off-the-wall account of a Filipino-American who keeps coming back to the Philippines, keeps coming back and doesn't know why, and he's asking himself why. Then you will hear a brilliant poem from the late, great Rolando Tino. Rolando Tino was only 21 years old and a graduate student at Iowa University when he wrote this poem. And it's in Taglish, Tagalog English, and he's walking to the depot thinking about returning home and also thinking about the America he is leaving behind. Next, you will hear about Sandra Nicole Roldan's otherworldly experience of living in Korea. By otherworldly, I mean that she felt othered, an outcast. Then please listen to an excerpt from Jaime Ann Lim's heartbreaking short story about a young Filipino family transplanted to Midwest America and imploding there. Last but not least, let's lend our ears to Carmen Guerrero Napil's immortal, humorous essay about how Filipinos, regardless of where they are in the world, love their country with their stomachs. So I better close now before you all accuse me of hanggang sa walang hanggan. Maraming salamat po. And now Festival Desk will open the curtain on 7 wonderful homecoming stories to delight your minds and hearts. Thank you.